For tourism, this represents as a single region with enormous outbound potential.
JPEG saw 60 new participants seeking to capitalize on the event's offerings, among them Clubhouse Brewery.
We've been around for 4.5 years. This is our first time at JPEX, and I've certainly jumped at the opportunity, and we said, okay, we would love to set up here, one, to showcase our product, but two, to also meet new hoteliers who could become potential customers of ours. And a number of the hoteliers here are already customers of ours, so reconnecting with them is also important.
The three-day affair opened up with a welcome ceremony at Harmony Beach Park, where Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett shared plans for the continued growth of this sector.
Certainly we want to make the next 5 years the year of serious growth, development, inclusive tourism, and a new vista for involvement of the local Jamaicans in the rich, lucrative, and elongated value chain of tourism.
Other days saw the hosting of high-level meetings, educational sessions, and panel discussions, including airline routes.
The truth is, all of the players go to many shows around the world.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Thank you. Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford, State Minister, Senator the Honorable Marlon Morgan, Parliamentary Secretary, Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Mrs. Terry-Ann Thomas-Gale, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Adrian Stokes, Chairman of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, Project Lead and Transformation Officer for the TREND Program, colleagues from the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, and members of the ETOC Committee, other invited distinguished guests, stakeholders and partners in education, students, members of the media, a very pleasant morning to you all. Wonderful. My name is Anita Bailey, Community Relations Education Officer, and it is my pleasure to be here this morning guiding you through what is our 9th or 10th press conference. Yes, it has been that many, ladies and gentlemen, of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, hosted in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. This morning's press conference focuses on the second quarter progress report for year 3 of the TREND program. And we definitely are transforming education for national development. We will share the latest findings, highlight achievements, address ongoing challenges, and discuss the way forward as we work together to strengthen the education sector. Since our last press conference, we have welcomed 2 new members to the leadership team of the ministry, and we are pleased to have with us this morning the Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford, as acknowledged before, MP and State Minister, and we also welcome Senator the Honorable Marlon Morgan, Parliamentary Secretary. Both of them have joined and jumped in feet first, supporting advancing leadership in the ministry's transformation agenda. Their addition really does bring, ladies and gentlemen, renewed energy, ideas, and focus to our mission. And we're delighted to have them on board as we continue this important work. Please give them a round of applause. I also have to extend a very warm welcome to our online viewers on JIS, on PBCJ, and on the ministry's online platforms. And for those who love to stay connected on social media, we will also be posting the report on our trend-ja.com, trend-jamaica.com website. You can catch up with the reports there, and you can also join us in the conversation on Instagram at MOESY Jamaica. So be sure to follow us there. We want to hear from you. That is the reason why we have these quarterly press conferences, to update you, but also to involve you in the conversation. Now, enough of me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask you to help me officially welcome you, our permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, our captain, can I call her that? Or major, our major captain, because she's major. Our major, Dr. Cassandra, permanent secretary.
Thank you so much to our moderator. Good morning, everyone. I am delighted to be here. Jamaica, we are here again to talk to you about the trend report. We promised you that it will not be a report that will sit on a shelf in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. And you can hold us to that. And so we are in year 3 of the report, quarter 2. So this morning, we are going to be talking to you about the achievements for the last 3 months. So every 3 months, we come to you, Jamaica, to talk to you about what we are doing. This is a demonstration of our commitment to the transformation of education in our country. So it's with great pleasure this morning that I welcome my minister. Colleagues, you have seen her out there. She's championing the cause. She's committed. She's brilliant. She's indomitable. And we love her. Let's welcome our minister, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris-Dixon. Are you seeing her on camera, ladies and gentlemen? We really, really do appreciate the work. Let me tell you something. Last night from 5 o'clock to about 8:35 or so, Minister and I had a meeting just going through what we want for this country. What we want really is for our children to thrive and to become their best selves. So colleagues, you have the commitment of our minister. You heard her earlier from our moderator that we have been joined by 2 lovely colleagues, hardworking Jamaicans, our state minister, the Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford. We welcome you, State Minister. We are happy to have you. We have seen you in the field and we know what you are made of. And we know what it means for us on this side. Welcome. Welcome to your first press conference in this manner. Senator, the Honorable Marlon Morgan, you're not a stranger to us. You have been with us. You have helped us along the journey. Let me tell you something. When we talk about dogmatic, committed, getting things done, he doesn't play. And so to have that energy with us again, we are really happy, Senator. Welcome, welcome. Jamaica, you can just imagine what will happen with a dynamic ministerial team like we do have now in the Ministry of Education. You can definitely rely on us. We welcome you, colleagues, to this press conference. I am really, really grateful for the support so we can make sure we transform Jamaica. Of course, today's meeting and press conference is really about the Education Transformation Oversight Committee coming to you. You know, the Prime Minister gave a mandate. He sanctioned this committee and he said, hold the Ministry of Education accountable. And we have got the chairman today, Dr. Adrian Stokes. Let's welcome him. Let me tell you something, Jamaica, he's not playing. He takes this assignment very seriously. Let me tell you something. Every Thursday morning, the permanent secretary has to go to a meeting, and I'm joined by my CEO and other technocrats from time to time as we unpack pieces of the work. He's holding us accountable, and we are delivering. I hope so, Chair. We welcome our chair. Of course, we have Dr. Venice Leon, who has joined us recently. She's not new to us. You have seen her before. She's the project lead, and she's doing a marvelous job making sure we can get the milestones, making sure that we are reporting. Let me tell you something. She is supported by a team of pillar leads. We call them pillar leads in the ministry. For every pillar under the transformation, there's a lead in the ministry. And so we have expanded the project team to make sure that we can deliver. Thank you, Dr. Leon, and welcome to you. Let's show some appreciation. Colleagues, you heard the moderator earlier. We have leaders in the ministry. We have our advisors for our ministers here. We have our leadership of the DSS, Mrs. Terry and Thomas Gale. We welcome you. She is leading the work in the field. And let me tell you something. You will hear, I think Minister ensured that it was out today. You will hear about the improvements in literacy, numeracy. You see what's happening with the exams. And the exams is just an assessment report of the gains in our schools. It tells a story of what's happening with teaching and learning. And of course, Mrs. Winnieberry leads the curriculum development and support services, and the work is ongoing. We have our heads of agency. I see Miss Murray. I see Casey Akar, who's always here at the press conference. I see Ingrid from NCT Vet. I see the members of ECC. They're always with us. They have a lot of work to do because Jamaica is depending on us to fix the early childhood sector. But they're committed. I see my DCEO from the assessment branch, Maria Ho Young. Welcome. I see my head from the Human Resource Management and Development Unit or branch in the ministry, Mrs. Eileen Donalds. Thank you for coming. And colleagues, I am really grateful. I see the head of Hensel. Welcome, Karif Clark. Welcome. We are grateful to have you. I see Keisha from NET. Colleagues, this is a good show of what it takes to transform Jamaica. We have members in the audience from our foundations. We have education foundations in Jamaica, and they have been doing tremendous work in education. We have reached out to them, and they have committed themselves to partner with the transformation agenda. Can you imagine that? With partnership, we can only get better. Welcome to those special members we invited today. We are really happy to have you. And I know we have members out there in social media live. Jamaica, we welcome you. We are thankful that you have been on this journey with us. We are grateful that you have communicated your commitment to work with us. We call upon our parents. Parents, we need you, and I know my minister will speak to that. That pillar of transformation is absolutely important because our schools cannot do this alone. We need all hands on deck. With that being said, colleagues, it's my privilege and joy to welcome you again to another press conference. I thank you.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dr. Cassandra, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. Listen, I think she deserves a much bigger round of applause than that. Because I tell you, the work that the ministry does, we can't do it without the kind of encouragement and support that she provides for us. And we thank you, Dr. Troop, for so ably supporting us. Just a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, I did hear Dr. Troop mention that we have 7 pillar leads for the 7 pillars of change. I just want to remind you what those 7 pillars of change are, which is what we're going to be reporting on today. We have governance and accountability, early childhood education, teaching curriculum and teacher training, tertiary education, TVET, the tertiary sector, and infrastructure and technology. Those are the areas that are driving the transformation agenda in this country. And so, to speak to us a little bit more on that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be hearing now from Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, who will speak to the ministry's vision and commitment to building an equitable, inclusive and high-performing education system. Please make her welcome.
Thank you so very much, Miss Bailey, for taking on the chair. It's the first time you've chaired one of these ETOCs? Oh, okay, good. All right, so you're used to it. All right. I have to acknowledge two of my favorite people here. A lot of my favorite people are in the room. The Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford, our Minister of State. It is so good to see you. And also Senator, the Honorable Marlon Morgan, who is our Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry. Welcome to your first ETOC press conference. I am just so honored and happy to have both of them in the Ministry of Education. Both of them are rising stars, and I take my role very seriously of helping their stars to rise even more. That is my goal, and I know that there is so much good that will happen in their lives, and they are really committed to Jamaica, and so it's an honor for me to have them on the team. My other favorite people, Dr. Kassan Troop, our permanent secretary in the ministry, Dr. Adrian Stokes, head of ETOC, who never stops working and thinking about education. That's the kind of people that we need in our country, people who may not come into government, but really have a commitment to nation building. And education is such a central area. And for someone of Dr. Stokes' ilk to take this on, it is an amazing thing, and we're very grateful to him. Very, very grateful. I want to also acknowledge our CEO, Terry Ann Thomas Gale, who has been a part of implementing so much of the ETOC agenda, the senior team of the ministry, members of the media. I see students here from Creative Kids, St. Hugh's, and also Salvation Army School for the Blind. It is so good to have our students here, because really what we are doing is really all about our students. It's not about us. And so having them be a part of this, we're essentially reporting to them what we have done to make their future even brighter. That's really what we're doing here today. So it's not just, ticking boxes. And that's always the concern I have, is always, about ticking boxes. What it is about is really us changing the lives of our children. 2 nights ago, I went to an event, and I saw some robots. And I saw that there was a company that has robots on their way to Jamaica. These are humanoids. Some of them look like humans. They're bringing in to work in the hospitality sector, in our restaurants. They're going to be doing cleaning. They're going to be delivering food. They can do room service. So all these things that you only see in maybe China, because we had someone saying that when they went to China, when they open their door, when they order room service, it's a robot that comes to them. That is on its way to Jamaica. What that says is that we have to be thinking differently about the education of our children. And so our children who are in this room are going out into a very, very different world. And we have to commit ourselves to ensuring that they can thrive in this new world. The vision that our Prime Minister has for this country is not a small vision. Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness has said it. He wants us to be the Singapore of this region. And we're only going to get there if we fix our education system. And so what we're talking about today, and what Dr. Stokes will present, is really central to that vision. And it's a vision that can happen. And it's a vision that I know that the team at the Ministry of Education can deliver on. And so I know that I am looking forward to doing all I can, and I know the team is looking forward to do all we can to make sure that our children are ready for that world. And that world is changing, really, really changing. So even as you try to prepare, the technology changes, which is why it's important that we're building a particular kind of mindset. It's a mindset to think. It's a mindset to be creative. It's a mindset that is geared towards innovation. So it's not just about learning particular areas or content. It's really an orientation to learning that we have to instill in our children. And we are committed to do that because we have to do it and we have to be successful at it. This week has been a good week for me because I was able to attend 2 events. One was Dr. Stokes' initiative, which was honoring our mathematics teachers. That was just amazing because we were able to honor our maths teachers in many of our traditional high schools that always do well. But what was special for me was us honoring teachers at schools that you usually don't hear about. These are schools that under ETOC under Dr. Stokes' leadership and the PS and CEO, we did interventions in, and their math scores increased. They improved, and they deserved to be celebrated. And so there are big things happening. I was so happy because one of the things Jamaica talks about is that in many schools, they don't put the students forward to do maths at the CSEC level. And so there was an award category for the top 10 schools in terms of the percentage of the class, the grade 11 class, that sat maths at the CSEC level. And when they called Tarrant High School's name, I was so happy because I know the work that was put in. I went there with CEO, organized for me to go there during the holiday to see them working with the children and to know that they were one of the top 10 in terms of percentage of their cohort that they put up for CSEC. I was happy. And when I saw that they got awards for improvements in maths, I was happy too. And I said, maybe I should take a little bit of credit. I taught one class. One dege algebra class I taught. But I am celebrating with them. And that's what you want. We want to continue to celebrate those who are doing well, but we want to acknowledge those who are not usually acknowledged. Because if we are serious about lifting all of our schools, we're going to have to encourage those that are actually doing the work, and we're seeing the results. And so I was very happy, Dr. Stokes, for your initiative on that one. And then yesterday, I got to speak at the Marcus Garvey Award for Excellence in the Performing Arts. And there, teachers and students were being celebrated for their work in the performing arts and the JCDC Festival. It was great. These teachers were so happy to get their awards. They've worked so hard. We say in the ministry that we're all about developing the whole person. And in order for us to do that, we have to understand that, yes, maths and science and all those areas are important, but the arts are just as important. When you think about even technology, when you think of the big tech companies, they always want artists on their staff because they're thinking of the design element. They understand that. And so for us, we have to ensure that we're celebrating the maths and we're celebrating the arts at the same time. And so I saw that in action this week. This is also later when we leave here, we're going to do our strategic plan, where we're thinking big as a ministry about changes and the future for our children. And so there is really a lot going on in the ministry, and I could go on and on, but I am one of those that believes functions are too long in Jamaica, and we need to keep them short. But I did want to, before I leave, and Dr. Stokes will go into more details, just really say how happy I am at the grade 4 PEP results. And the entire country needs to celebrate our grade 4 students, our teachers, and their parents who worked really hard. And so 67% of all students sitting the grade 4 PEP are now at mastery in literacy. That's an improvement, big time. And guess what? 70.4% have achieved mastery in numeracy. So we did better at numeracy at grade 4 than we did at literacy. But they're both moving up, which is the important thing. And I sat with the ministry team. We went through the questions and so on, and it's an awesome team Maria has that does our exams. I'm just so, every time I have a meeting with the exam team, I leave happy because I see the level of professionalism we have in this ministry, and I am just honored to be a part of it. But we went through the papers. We looked at the questions that the students were having trouble with. That's how far we go. And we analyzed it and figured out, maybe some of it could be cultural in terms of the way the questions are worded. And we're always improving. That's the thing in the ministry. We're always trying to improve. But what was the most important thing for me as I looked at the literacy, and I know Jamaica talks about the literacy a lot, was that when we looked at it, over 33,000 students did the exam. But only 475 out of 33,000 children did not reach mastery or almost mastery. So it's only only 475 students of the whole grade 4 cohort received a score of non-mastery. Only 450. So when we talk about our education system and the problems, yes, there are problems, and I'm the most open about talking about the problems. But when we see improvements, we must acknowledge them because it's a big deal. Because those that weren't at mastery, most of them were actually at almost mastery. So it's only 475 students that were at non-mastery in the entire grade 4 cohort across our country. That is fabulous. And so as you hear more from Dr. Stokes, he's going to go through the numbers a lot more. We need to celebrate this day. Our teachers are working hard. Our students are working hard. And the ministry is working hard at working with the students. And so I will stop there today, just noting that I'm a happy minister. There's a whole heap of work to do. And we understand that, and that's why we have our strategic plan, because we're not stopping there. These results aren't where we want it to be, but we're moving in the right direction. And our commitment to you is that as a ministry, we will not stop until we get every single child in this country to reach their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, our minister, our very happy minister, Senator, most days, most days, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon. Ladies and gentlemen, the labor is great. Sometimes the laborers are tired, but you know, the encouragement does sweeten the labor and sweeten the rewards. And I mean, with less than 1% of a cohort not achieving mastery, it says 1.4%. It says something about the work that we're doing to set a strong foundation for a better Jamaica. So another round of applause to the ministry team. Of course, it's not all about us, the technocrats, and the people who do the work and the people driving at the ministry. We could not have a press conference today without inviting to join us some very, very important people. The people who in another 20 years or so will be right here hosting the press conference, or maybe in another 30 years being the permanent secretary. And the minister, and Dr. Stokes, and Mrs. Morrison-Leon. So we did invite some of our schools to join us today, and I really have to take the opportunity to acknowledge all of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome from Southborough Primary School, Mr. Carlisle Thompson, principal, and his team. And little Araya Sumai, who should be here with him, Nathaniel Brooks from Creative Kids Academy, and they have some students here with them, St. Hugh's High. The vice principal, Miss Alicia Francis, is here with Ajiana Hall, Jasmine Green. Welcome them, ladies and gentlemen. This is really all about them. From Arden Extension High, we do have some students from that school as well. Salvation Army School for the Blind. We spoke earlier about an inclusive education system, and we couldn't do this without them. And so we welcome Mr. Sean Harvey, guidance counselor, with his students Jade, Tem, Jahanel Palmer, and Jason Ricketts. Give them a round of applause, please. And we also have students from Pembroke Hall High School, led by their principal, Reverend Claude Ellis. And we have from Monique College, Mr. Howard Isaacs, as well as some of his students. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see, full house right here at the UWI Regional Headquarters today for this press conference. And we're moving on. I don't want to be guilty of having a meeting too long and just doing the press conference thing, and I don't want to lose the work. So we turn our attention to the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, the body responsible for guiding, monitoring, and ensuring accountability in implementing the recommendations, all 365 of them, from the JETC, the Jamaican Education Transformation Commission report. It is my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Dr. Adrian Stokes, chairman of ETOC, who will present findings.
Thank you, Madam Chair. boy, this list is long of protocols. All right. Morning, everybody. I will not necessarily call everybody's name because this will take up the entire afternoon or morning. Sorry. So, the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Miss Rhoda Moy Crawford, Marlon Morgan. Morning, sir. Dr. Kassan Troop, CEO, invited guests, most importantly, the students. Special good morning. So I also want to recognize the ETOC members who continue to provide their commitment, work very hard at this implementation effort. And I really want to publicly acknowledge their hard work. You know, as a country, I would say, have drawn a line in the sand to indicate that we want to move away from mediocrity in our education system. And that's why ETOC was brought into being, with its clear mandate being to ensure there is no implementation fatigue around the recommendations coming from the Orlando Patterson report. The future of our country, I think everyone can agree on this, really depends on the significant national effort that is underway to improve our people, our systems, our processes that drive educational outcomes. I'm supposed to have a clicker here, but it doesn't seem to be giving me the click options. So if we could have a tech support. It's moving? Okay, great. So let me first and foremost talk about the overall assessment of the transformation project to date. So for this quarter, we are reporting an overall progress rate of 32% on the implementation of the recommendations. This is an increase from the 30% progress reported at our last press briefing. Importantly, work has begun on all pillars, with all initiated endeavors progressing as planned. 189 initiatives have started since project inception, with 18 completed to date, an increase of 1 relative to the last reporting period. And just to emphasize, all initiatives continue to be on track as at the current reporting period. The one initiative that I have a little bit of concern about is the Jamaica Teaching Council bill. The timeline to implement that bill has been deliberately extended to factor additional consultations, which I think is welcomed and should be appreciated. Consultations with stakeholders, for example, the Jamaica Teachers Association. You know, I believe this extended period of consultation is important to ensure we receive and, as much as possible, incorporate all, I would say, common sense, all relevant feedback into the bill before it is implemented. Nonetheless, we should not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So we're not necessarily seeking a perfect bill. We need to make a start. And there will always be an opportunity to improve the bill going forward. Overall, there is steady progress towards achieving the milestones for the transformation journey that we are on. Over the next 2 years is where we expect to see a lot of the heavy lifting for the implementation of the initiatives. Now, as you can imagine, there are some sensitive but quite important reforms that we must undertake, and I will talk about these in a few. So these reforms are, as I said, sensitive, but nonetheless material to changing the trajectory of education for the better. And I will summarize a few of them in my closing remarks. Governance is a key pillar of the transformation process. As everybody can agree, logical governance arrangements drive performance in almost every meaningful endeavor. This is why we have been very focused on pushing ahead, aggressively I must say, with the governance initiatives from the Patterson report. The report, as you may recall, makes a number of recommendations to improve a critical pillar of governance, the boards of government-run schools. Specifically, the report calls for the school board selection framework to be more rigorous and should include vetting and training to better facilitate the important strategic role of boards in our school system. The selection and operation of school boards should also be consistent with the GOJ's governance framework for public institutions. Enhanced governance training for school board members should be also undertaken. And finally, implementation of term limits for board chairs. These are some of the high priority recommendations that are currently being actioned by the ministry and minister. So far, the ministry has created a portal where members of the public can submit their applications to serve on school boards. The goal is to ensure we broaden access and create the opportunity for more qualified Jamaicans to volunteer for service. I would also like to use this opportunity to welcome anyone who would like to serve on a school board to visit, and we have put the website there. And I'm pretty certain that the ministry team will also publicize the website so that persons can gain access and make an application if they choose to serve on a school board. Now let me touch on literacy and numeracy a bit. The minister spoke about this briefly. Now, it is noteworthy that for the recently concluded grade 4 assessment of literacy and numeracy, 99% of students demonstrated a satisfactory performance in literacy. That is magnificent. %70 of students demonstrated mastery in numeracy. This compares well to the 2024 data when the non-mastery rates for literacy and numeracy were 3.4 and 6.1% respectively. I would like to commend the ministry team and indeed all the principals, the students, teachers for doing the hard work to improve our students' performance. You know, we tend to be very vigorous with our criticisms when things aren't going well. So it is very important that we give credit when it is appropriate to do so. Of note, 67% of students assessed this year have full mastery in both reading, comprehension, and writing, which compares favorably to the 65% recorded last year in the same area. So the growth is noted, and we encourage the stakeholders to sustain this momentum we are seeing. Let me move to talk about the push across the education sector to drive the performance of math and English. Everyone recognizes that transformation is a process that will show results over time. Importantly, for the transformation work to be properly cemented, we must ensure that near-term positive results are repeatable and, more importantly, scalable. The ministry last year adopted a risk-based approach, or what they call a tactical approach, where in essence, it focused resources and attention on schools that are struggling due to one reason or another. They took a holistic approach where social factors like breakfast and lunch were taken into consideration as part of factors that needed urgent attention. ETOC experienced the approach firsthand. Some of our members visited schools earmarked for this enhanced support. We met with principals, boards, teachers, students, regional officers, really to get a better understanding of the challenges and to gauge the commitment of the key stakeholders to fix these issues. Importantly, as with anything that you're doing that is important, that you need to establish clear targets. And targets were established by the ministry. For math, the goal was to move the national pass rate, the average, from 40% in 2024 to 50%. And for English, the goal was to move the national success rate from 77% to over 80%. I am happy, and the minister spoke about being happy. I'm very happy that the big push by all the stakeholders resulted in a 5 percentage points movement, or probably should say 500 basis points, sound bigger. 5 percentage points movement in mathematics to a national pass rate of 46%. That's very, very commendable. And a 8 percentage points movement in English language to a national average of 84%. Now, yes, you can clap. While the goal of 50% was not achieved for mathematics, what's commendable to me is a significant improvement in the national average. To move anything by 500 basis points on a large scale takes a lot of work. It's a big effort. So the exercise for me really, I believe, proved to people that with focused effort, careful planning, and what I would say relentless execution, you can be successful, even with limited resources to start with. ETOC is encouraged, as I indicated, by this result, and we are urging the ministry, the team in general, to institutionalize most of the successful measures. Enhancing the breakfast program and strengthening teacher training in mathematics by leveraging centers of excellence like UWI should go a long way. And I know they are doing that this year. And that should go a long way in improving mathematics performance in particular. Let me talk about the way forward and close here. So we are in the third year of the transformation journey. A lot of work has been done to date, but we still have many more initiatives to implement before we can say we have fundamentally changed our education trajectory for the better. Root issues like board governance must be dealt with decisively, and we are happy that the ministry and minister are moving to deal with this. There are other fundamental objectives we are pursuing. One, these are some of the sensitive, some persons might find them painful when they begin to be implemented, but nonetheless are non-negotiable. These are things that we have to do. We need to improve the matriculation standards of students being onboarded in our teacher training institutions. We also need to consider how incentives can be strategically be utilized to attract, retain, fill gaps, and improve quality in the teaching profession. And another one, work to make the Ministry of Education world-class in its administration of the country's education system. These are fundamental measures. And as I indicated, once we get to a particular point, I'm certain some persons are going to find it painful. But as I always tell people, even my own business, if you're going to the gym and you're not feeling pain, you're wasting time. You're not working out. Education is everyone's business, not just the government. An illiterate society can't be successful. So we all have to get on board as we build an education system where a child has a fair chance of achieving his or her potential. I am very happy, that word happy keeps coming up, but I'm very happy that many private sector companies have been answering the call to partner with us as we move on this transformation journey. Many have given time, leadership, and financial resources to the system in a very enlightened approach to national development. This is not the time to sit on the fence and to complain that the glass is half full. See this as an opportunity to enter the fray, to actively engage, and to shape the very foundations of our society. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dr. Adrian Stokes, Chairman of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee. Some key takeaways: improvement, incentivization, and streamlining of our operations. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen, for us to transform education towards national development. I echo the call that education is indeed everyone's business because it affects everyone. And so thank you so very much for your presentation, Dr. Stokes. I'm going to ask you to help me now to welcome Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, Project Lead and Transformation Officer for the Trent Program, who will provide a more detailed overview of the progress and key developments to date.
Moderator, Ms. Anita Bailey, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Honorable Rhoda Moy Crawford, Senator Marlon Morgan, Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Terrian Thomas Gale, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Adrian Stokes, Chairman ETOC, colleagues from the Ministry, specially invited guests, stakeholders and partners in education, or students, members of the media, good morning. Good morning. We are reporting on our second quarter in our third year, and we're using the word happy since we started our press conference. And truly it is amazing what is happening within the ministry. This report will highlight the tangible steps we are taking to strengthen teacher quality, modernize our schools, enhance accountability, and ensure every Jamaican learner is equipped to thrive within the dynamic global economy. As was said earlier by our minister and our ETOC chair, 2% might seem very small to many, but it requires a lot of work. And I'm here to share with you this morning some of the progress that we have made within this quarter. We have 365 recommendations. We have 2,003 tasks that are connected to those recommendations. And if you break them out, we have many activities that are connected to those tasks. We want to report this morning that we have achieved one of our recommendations within this quarter in our TVET, or Pillar 5. Yes, thank you so very much. All right. So for pillar, I'm going to be going through the updates based on the 7 pillars that we have, and I'll try to do so as quickly as possible. For Pillar 2, I want to report that we have had, when we talk about improving the quality of pre-service and in-service teacher training, I want to report that early childhood remains very strong. 27,000 of our students were screened under the Jamaica School Readiness and Assessment Program. That represents 81% of our infants. We also want to report that over 2,700 of our early childhood sector participants were engaged in a short course, Play Matters, advocating for a world of play, and this was in partnership with the Early Childhood Commission, UNICEF, and the Jamaica Teaching Council. And for that, we are very grateful that we have a pocket of individuals who are able to assist within our early childhood sector. Under Pillar 3, we want to report that all clubs and societies have resumed. Persons might say, clubs and society, is that important within our education sector? It is very important. And particularly, what is of interest to us is that it's not just that clubs and societies have resumed in our schools, but we have a population of over 18,000 of our students who are now actively involved in uniform groups. And we know what uniform groups do in our schools. Talking about building civic pride, leadership, and discipline. And for us, that is very important. We also want to report in under Pillar 3 that teacher training remains very central for us. And over 4,000 of our educators were engaged in early reading program. And for that, we're very grateful because we know that when we have teachers having the instructional competencies, it is going to improve what happens in our classroom. Yeah. We have also the training within, I'm sorry about that, training for our principals at the level Pillar 4, where strategic planning and change management were important for us, and we have 451 principals at the primary level received training in strategic management and planning, and from the secondary level, we had 117 principals who received training in strategic planning. For change management, we had 16 principals who were engaged in training in change management, 12 at the primary level and 4 at the secondary and tertiary level. Good governance, as was said by our board chair, our ETOC chair, it will influence school success. And if we have our principals receiving adequate training, then our schools will do better. That's a reality. And for that, we want to commend our principals and NCEL for participating in the training activities. Under Pillar we want to move the slides a little faster, so I'm going to go to Pillar Pillar 3, we continue with Pillar 3. Take advantage of the online environment to create customized professional development programs for our teachers, and the Jamaica Teaching Council, in partnership with our core education unit, core curriculum unit, engage our teachers in training, and over 11,000 of our teachers were engaged in training that focused on ICT, inclusivity, literacy, and psychosocial support. And for that, we are very, very happy. We're going to go along to Pillar 4, and the recommendation, a functioning tertiary education management information system. It's important for us to make sure that we have systems in place to do many of the administrative tasks that are associated with running the operations of schools. And we want to report this morning that this management system is 70% complete. And for that, we are very, very happy. And that is an increase from the previous quarter where we reported that it was at 35%. Yes. We continue with Pillar 4, support and encourage collaboration between institutions to jointly deliver programs. And we want to report that the proposal for teacher training institution infrastructure upgrades to support STEAM program is completed. We are looking at a budget of 9.3 billion so that we can ensure that STEAM is part and parcel of our teacher training institutions. We have audited 22 of our programs, and the framework has been drafted, shared with principals, and the new tertiary sector structure is approved. And for that, we are very happy. Pillar 5, we are happy to report that 9 industrial arts teachers from 7 technical schools received international training from Guangdong VCOM Education Technology in China. And that's a big thing. We said earlier, our minister talked about the experience of having robots as part of our community. And if we want to make sure that we are industry ready, we have to expose our teachers to training. We have to make sure also that we have the systems in place to provide training for our students and teachers. And so we have 204 of our secondary TVET in-service teachers. They benefited from capacity building training. And we have 5 exemplary labs that were refurbished, and they are now operational in our schools. Coupled with the fact that we have allocated 400 million for 15 new labs in our schools. And Minister, I'm sure you're happy to see that robotic is there, renewable energy, virtual welding, digital construction. We are exposing our students to greater career options so that they can fit within our global economy. All right, and that's important. Pillar 6, Ministry of Education should continue to deploy broadband infrastructure to increase penetration across the island. And we're happy to report this morning that broadband connectivity is now at 72.3%, and 362 of our schools have access to Wi-Fi. We continue with infrastructure. 8 projects completed at a total cost of 500 million. We have also collaboration with Jamaica Social Investment Fund for the construction of 2 classrooms for special education unit block at Frankfield Primary in Region 5. And we're happy for the partnership because this is providing needed space for our special education students. Maintenance and infrastructure continues, 100 million allocated for termite and pest control treatment in 102 of our schools. This is a big deal for us, colleagues, and Jamaica. This is 90 of the 102 schools completed, and the other 12 are underway. We also have 210 million allocated for infrastructure projects, all right? And we are looking forward to what obtains with that in our reporting period, October to December. We continue reallocation of funds to education, and for this recommendation, the Finance Committee was established to guide education financing reforms within the ministry, and I'm sure we're happy to learn of this. And the subcommittee, they have completed their reviews of the education costs and global financing models, economic analysis now underway, and it will be presented to the Finance Committee when we have our next meeting. So that is commendation for the finance pillar. And the last slide talks about the disbursements of funds for this quarter. Says that we have disbursed 1 million to include 39 million for 1 billion, 1 billion, which includes 39 million for ECC modernization. We are spending money and we are seeing the results from what we are spending. And certainly when we talk about transformation, it was said already, and I want to reiterate the point. Transformation for transforming education for national development belongs to every Jamaican. And we continue to solicit partnerships from our schools, from our communities, from private sector, from all Jamaicans to make sure that Jamaica is the place of choice for us in the future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Dr. Venice Morrison-Leon, Project Lead and Transformation Officer for the TREND program. Give her another round of applause, please. My mother would say, what a work. We don't quote millions in the ministry, we quote billions. We don't count one recommendation, we count 365 with 2,000, how many tasks? 2,003 tasks and many associated activities. I think it's important to bring it center to the people like me who are on the ground working, the teachers who you get the email to talk about this workshop, the principal who have to go to this training, the officers who have to coordinate. Understand and know that this is what you're contributing to. This is the bigger picture that we all have to continue to focus on. So thank you once more, Dr. Morrison-Leon. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the point now where we're going to be taking some questions from the media. Just also want to remind you that we are on socials at the moment. We're streaming live on PBCJ, we're streaming live on JIS, and so we're opening the floor for questions from the media in the room at this point. So we're going to ask you to kindly state your name and the media house that you represent. Are we finding any questions online? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? This is a good thing? All right. So, say again. The media is happy as well. The world is happy. I like that. This is a happy day. Oh, happy day. We're going to take a question from the floor. Yes, sir. Could you please state your name and identify the media house you're from?
Good day. My name is Matthew McCoy. I am from the Gleaner. I'm actually a photographer, but I am just giving the questions from my reporter who is online.
Okay.
So she asks, how many recent consultations have been held with the JTA regarding the Jamaica Teaching Council bill?
All right. I think Minister is going to take that question.
Hi, morning, and thank you for that question on the JTC bill. One thing that Jamaica does not know is that every single month, on the second Wednesday, I meet with the JTA. So there's a standard meeting that we do every month. And since I've been minister, and it's been a year almost, I have always done the meetings with the JTA. So we maintain quite a lot of openness with the JTA. In terms of the JTC bill, the PS is coordinating or consultations on the bill. So in relation to that, there are many stakeholders that have a say in this Jamaica Teaching Council bill. So it's not just JTA. You also have the churches that own a lot of the schools that have a role. We also have the parents who have to be given a voice in relation to how a JTC bill looks. And so they're also stakeholders in this entire process, and so on the principals and so on. So there are a lot of stakeholders. So what we're doing is on November 16, we're bringing together all of the key stakeholders for us to again look at the JTC bill. The JTA has given some comments. The church has also given some comments. So remember, it's not just one stakeholder here. And we as ministry, we have to listen to everybody because everybody has an opinion on education. And we have to listen, right? And so in that meeting, what we will do is we will go through the concerns because the JTA's concerns actually look different than some of the other stakeholders. And they actually want something strengthened where JTA may want it adjusted in a different way. But as a government, we've always said that we are about listening and consensus. And that's what we're going to work towards. And as the chair said, we don't need to be trying to get the perfect bill. We need to move forward. This is something that for over 20 years we've been working at. And we need to finish it and have a bill. We can always change later on and add new elements to it. But we're going to be open, and that bill is going to be a bill that has listened to everyone. We've already done lots of consultations over the 20-odd years. And we're doing another round now with all the stakeholders in one room. Not individual rooms, but one room, and then we try to come with a new bill. After that discussion, we will then go back in the ministry, make any tweaks that we need to make, and then we will lay it again in Parliament.
Thank you very much, Minister. You wanting a redirect, sir?
No, it's not a redirect. It's another question, actually.
Okay.
All right. So this question is for Dr. Stokes or for whoever can answer it.
Okay.
You mentioned that we need to improve the matriculation quality into teachers' colleges. What is your assessment of the current matriculation standards?
Mm-hmm. Dr. Stokes?
Morning, thanks for that. So, listen, we pulled together an entire committee, the Orlando Patterson grouping, and the minister was a part of that. And from that detailed assessment, the major finding is that we need to upgrade the requirements to be onboarded into a teacher training institution. One of the things I've done, I was once a researcher, so I like to find benchmarks and, so not to recreate the wheel. So I looked at Singapore and what they do in terms of teacher training and what the standards are. standards are very high. To become a teacher in Singapore, it's very, very, very difficult. It's one of the most difficult professional endeavors in Singapore. It's very, very hard to get into. If education is going to be our competitive advantage, if training, and if we're going to become the Singapore of the region, we too need to fundamentally upgrade the requirements to become a teacher. Now, what goes with that is we also need to upgrade the reward and recognition program for teachers. You're not going to get great people going into teaching and the reward and recognition program is not competitive. So the two things must work together. Similarly in Singapore, the teaching profession is one of the most highly paid professions in Singapore. So that's where we have to get to. It's kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but just look at what happens in Singapore, and then you'll kind of get an idea of what we need to do in Jamaica, or the levels that we need to go up to be able to compete at that level. Thank you.
Can I just answer something quickly? The PS is giving me the date for consultation. It's Tuesday, November 11. All right.
And another question from the Gleaner, it seems.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go right ahead.
All right, thank you. All right, so the question is, can you provide an update on the ministry's September initiative to create remedial programs for slow learners in high school? And how many schools were targeted? And how many students have benefited from it?
I think that's a PS question.
The CEO is here. Come on, CEO. You are on the ground. So while our CEO comes, come, CEO, come. We continue to roll out the tactical approach. So our schools, we talked about the 245 schools. We have 56 high schools among that set, and we'll be working with those schools to improve the numeracy and literacy in those schools. We're focusing at the grade 7 to 13 because we do have students in the sixth form program who are in pathways 2 and 3 who will need remedial support, and we provide subsidy for that. So we just sent out the bulletin on that, so I'm drawing the principal's attention. Jamaica, we do provide subsidy payment, funding, fully payment by the government for students who are doing math, English, a science subject, ICT, or EDPM. The government funds that fully. And for a TVET subject, using the opportunity to just say that all learners have this opportunity. Minimum standards must be met, just 50% in your exams in your school, and you qualify for the government subsidy. That will support what your parents have to pay. So young people, I'm calling upon you. Many of you will be doing your assessment now, and we will be relying on that score to determine if you benefit from this subsidy. And it's not just for CSEC, it's also for City and Guilds. Right, so your skills proficiency award, we pay for that. We pay for your English skills and your math skills in City and Guilds, and the customer service training program to support the BPO industry. The government pays for that fully. So I'm just adding that as a layer of support for our learners at the high school, and CEO will give you the specifics as it relates to the tactical strategy.
Morning, everyone. I'm standing there and I'm like, what's next to add? So in addition to all that PS has said, we're also, with our breakfast program within our 56 targeted high schools, we have that program because, the more the students eat, the better they will be able to perform. And we continue with the psychoeducational assessment. We're emphasizing more flipping the classroom, flipping the script, where the students are not expected to be doing 14 subjects, but instead a timetable has been communicated where it minimizes the number of subjects that our students should be engaged in. We have also flipped it in the resources that we provide to these institutions. So instead of these textbooks, we're giving more hands-on material. We have worked closely with one of our suppliers, One Academy, where we have our virtual school software within our schools. We're currently engaged with another developer looking at reading software for the students at the high schools as well. So there are more resources coming in, and our schools are encouraged, as Minister said earlier, and all the other presenters have said, we don't want to change what we did last year with the tactical approach. What we want to do is enhance it. And so our 56 schools, they are on board with us. And our parents, we want our parents to know that the extended learning continues. The students need more time on the subjects. And so we want you to send the students out to the extra lessons, put them onto the platform for the webinars and the virtual schools that we will have. With the virtual school software, our students have access from home where they can log in and they are able to pull up past lessons where there is a live lesson going on. The students are able also to access these. And we continue the work, and we're available for additional support. We want all of Jamaica to know that it's all hands on deck. We want our students to move away to utilize our school bus system we have now with our rural school bus system. We want our students to get to school. When we visited some of our institutions, the problems the principals identified were the students not coming to school on time, so they have early classes and the students are late. With our rural school bus system, we will see our students getting to school earlier and getting to school safely. And so we want to encourage our parents to utilize that mode as well to ensure that our students are present so they can access learning.
And as space, our partners would not forgive us, right? So I want to recognize the EU, right? They gave us $25 million to support the literacy initiative in some of our primary schools, in the Zozo area and high schools, and the British Council for giving us the funding to procure the literacy software for the high schools under the strategy. Thank you, British Council, and thank you to the EU.
Thank you so very much. We have another question coming from a student.
Good morning. My name is Janelle Palmer, and I am the Deputy Head Girl of the Salvation Army School for the Blind and Visually Impaired Children. So my question is, which of the 365 recommendations relates to schools like mine with persons with disabilities, and where is the ministry as it relates to implementation?
All right. Yes, I'm going to throw this one at you. All right, so Minister is going to take this question. Oh, they're tag teaming this question. That's how big your question was.
I thank you for your question. That's why I always like to have the students, even at post-cabinet press briefing, my students ask some of the most difficult questions. And I remember being interviewed by one of the students from the Salvation Army School for the Blind. And I told her that was one of the hardest interviews I've had. And she had a really good future in journalism. But in terms of your question, I'm going to do it broadly, and then PS is going to give you some more specifics. The issue of our children with disabilities or special needs is really an area of emphasis for the ministry, separate from in terms of the ETOC report. So remember, we have the Patterson report, but there are also other things that the ministry has strategically that we are working on. And special needs is at the center of that. And I'm very happy to tell you that we're about to go to cabinet with a new special needs policy. And in that policy, it speaks about schools like yours and the importance of us resourcing those schools appropriately, having the kind of adaptive technology incorporated in your school. Already, for all of our exams, we are doing quite a bit on the exams team, getting a lot of commendation this morning, but there are accommodations that are made for all our students who may be blind or even have other areas of disability. We accommodate them in PEP. And so we'll do the exam papers in Braille, and in CSEC too. We'll do the papers in Braille. Many Jamaicans don't know that. And for children with other types of special needs, we give accommodations. Sometimes you have someone sitting with them and reading the questions for them. Sometimes you also have a writer for them, depending on what their issue is. The key for us is having an inclusive Jamaica in terms of our education system. And so we have committed to that through having an actual policy that's going through cabinet, and we're going to lay it as a green paper in Parliament. So look out for that in the coming weeks, because you are especially important. And I think another area we have to focus on, and we are focusing on in the ministry, is actually having more special needs units across the system, and also doing more diagnostic work, because so often you hear, I have a child, I think they may have a special needs, but I have no one, I'm not able to get the diagnostics done. And so we are building a new one at Case in Portland so that those in the East don't have to come all the way to Kingston. So we're doing that also. And also, very importantly, in our policy, we're looking at pathways to work. Too often, or children with disabilities or special needs are not able to work. They are important. All of you are important. I want to see you up here too. I want to see you leading a ministry. And that's how we have to see all of our children. All our children have tremendous potential. And so your question, which was so excellent, I'm hearing a permanent secretary, hearing a minister in you. I'm hearing a lot of things in you. And so what we have to do in the ministry is to make sure that any kind of barrier to you reaching whatever goal it is that you have for yourself, that we eliminate those. P.S.
Okay, thank you, Minister. So when we looked at the transformation report, we didn't actually get a pillar that said special education, or we didn't get a pillar that says parenting. I know Casey Akar always says to me, why isn't there a pillar for that? But there are recommendations that speak to building out the enabling support across the system. So for everything that we do, it will include our institutions that provide special education services. So I can speak specifically to some quick wins. Digicel Foundation is helping us to build out STEM labs in our special education institutions, enabling services. E-Learning in Jamaica went full out to build out the ICT assistive technology in all our special education institutions. So you're on the forefront of the ICT infrastructure domain, though it didn't say special education. As it relates to curriculum support services, Minister spoke to the accommodations for the assessment services, but we are building out the curriculum support in terms of the intellectual disability curriculum that's also available and now being implemented in our segregated settings for our students with moderate and severe disabilities. So that's already there. Minister spoke to the policy. She's just barely fine-tuning, Minister, reviewing so we can take it to Cabinet and get it going again. But whilst we're doing that, we're implementing the aspects of the policy. As it relates to training of our teachers in the special education institutions, they are on the agenda. We don't leave them out, so we have to build the capacity of our teachers within those institutions as well. So again, you are seeing the special or the inclusive support services right across the 7 pillars. When we fund our schools, the special education institutions are funded as well under the current funding framework. But as we are doing the new framework that we are developing under Trend, the special education programs are being revisited to see how we can do differentiated funding for those schools so we can move them faster. We just trained our education officers in their summer program looking at assistive technology. How can we bring more of the assistive services in our schools? And that's something we're going to zone in on. For example, if a child has a difficulty writing in a class because that child is slow in the penmanship, we should be able to provide recording devices for that child. right? So because that child is at a disadvantage, the teacher is moving fast, they are dictating. And we have parents who are coming to us to say they are being left behind. So they are intellectually smart, they are in our mainstream high schools, they pass their PEP, but there are delays, and so the teachers are moving ahead of them. We have had to train those teachers. For, I think, Westwood, we had a visually impaired student there. We went into Westwood, and we went into an extensive training program with how to assess this child and how to handle the management of the child, the movement of the child. We have got to guide our schools in how to make sure that the classes are timetabled on the floors, that they have the ramps, so we can make sure that they are not denied any access. So those are the kind of strategic things we are doing across the areas, the 7 pillars. We are not leaving you out. Likewise for parenting, and there are enabling and support services right across the 7 pillars. But you know our minister, from she came in, she has been talking about the inclusive services. And last night she mandated me, PS, we need to move faster for the units within our established primary schools so we can build out the mainstream services in a structured, more secured, ready environment for our learners. And that is on the agenda for the strategic retreat this morning. So we are not leaving you out, baby girl. We love you, and we know you are going to thrive with the support that we'll continue to provide. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so very much, Dr. Troop and Senator the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, for your responses to that question. We're taking one final question. And sir, could you please go ahead, state your name and identify your organization.
Good morning, everyone. I am Romeo Lee. I'm the VP, Vice Principal at Creative Kids Learning Academy.
Wonderful.
Firstly, congratulations on the improvements and the implementation so far. I'd like to apologize for what will be a worded question. So this one is coming, I think I would be remiss not to speak about something that has come up in several meetings so far, conferences and such, by teachers. In light of the improvements that have been taking place in terms of literacy and numeracy, several teachers have voiced concerns whether the removal or the recommended removal of the grade 5 component from the PEP exams, if that would have an adverse effect or kind of stem the results that we have been seeing, the growth so far in our students. I know that the recommendation would have, an alternative would have been put forward to have it being done internally rather than externally. The percentage score that it adds to the final grade for students in terms of placement, the practice that it provides in terms of for the overall exam, external exams, and even the structure of the exam. That I'm a big fan of the PEP exam. I think that the exam has been a welcome improvement on what our external exams were. So I love it so far. Several teachers have voiced the same. As I said, how or what concerns exist that the changes or planned changes or recommended changes would affect the growth so far and growth that should come.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. So we're really happy that you're aware of the discussion. We have been down this road. You know, our minister came in and she took a different approach in terms of reaching out to our stakeholders. She went into our schools. And the proposed changes came from the many conversations she had with our teachers. But to do justice to that, she articulated those concerns openly. And then she said to us, let's do the consultation. Let's talk to the people. And we did a series. We went to parents. You know, parents are important in a decision like this. We went to the teachers. We went to the principals. We have our PET committee. We have JTA representative and a number of stakeholders that we went to. And many persons felt there was a mixed report. Some persons said, yes, it's a lot of burden. We need to remove it. But others said, it's really not about the exam itself. It's really that the children are actually competing. So whatever you do, there's going to be that stress because they are competing for preferred spaces. So the job really, as Minister said, is to get all the schools to do well. So wherever our children go, they can blossom. Well, we're really not there yet, and we have to accept that. So going through the consultations again, we went back to our minister with a fulsome report, and she said to us, given the feedback, and the majority of persons who felt at the time that no is not the time to make that big shift, Our minister gave us the blessing, and we have sent out the bulletin to indicate to our principals and parents that we will not remove the grade 5 this year. We'll continue with that. We have condensed the grade 6. We have removed or delayed, rather, the ability test to a later time in the grade 6 period. We will continue with grade 4. So all the pieces are there. We just condensed, changed some dates, and we add the literacy component in the grade 6. We're adding some questions to the literacy component so we can tell you at the end of grade 6 how our students are doing in literacy. Now we just assess at grade 4. We want to now assess at grade 6, and we can have a bigger conversation at that time when our principals in the secondary schools or high schools can tell us definitively, or we can say definitively to them, our children are reading at grade level, and therefore we are going to hold you accountable for the outcomes for our learners. So as it is now, the grade 5 still stands. Minister has given our directive, we have sent out the bulletin, and we continue to sensitize our stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Troop, and thank you to all of the individuals who had very robust questions this morning, and we're still in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're closing today's press conference, and I'm going to invite once more to the lectern, Dr. Kassan Troop, to deliver the vote of thanks. Yes, you know.
Well, just thank you. Thank you, Jamaica. Thank you to our large audience this morning. Thank you to our minister who continues to lead us. And I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Stokes. Let me tell you something. He drives a hard ball, but we are learning and we are getting it right. And he pushes us every week. Jamaica, I literally say every week. There's some piece of the transformation report that we have to come to the table with and discuss. And let me just thank the ETOC committee, the broader committee, Dr. Stokes. We go to them too, so they're not always all here, but once per quarter we go to the broader committee that the Prime Minister has put in place to report on the work of the ministry. And I just want to thank the team members, my workers in the vineyard, my boots on the ground. We cannot do this without you. I'm an extremely grateful permanent secretary. And as the presenter said this morning, and Minister or Dr. Stokes, happy is the word. We are happy that we are delivering for our children of this country. And with that said, thank you very much. This press conference has officially ended. God bless you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Troop. Yes.